Every night while you sleep, your kidneys are still working. They're filtering your blood, balancing fluid levels, helping regulate blood pressure, and clearing out waste your body built up during the day. And what you eat in that last hour before bed can either make that overnight job easier or harder. Most kidney advice focuses on what to cut out: less salt, less processed food, less sugar, sometimes less potassium. And yes, all of that matters. But there's another side to the conversation that almost never gets enough attention. What is the one food you can actually add before bed that supports your kidneys while they do some of their most important work overnight? Tonight, I want to walk you through the single best fruit to eat before bed for healthy kidneys. Not the most popular fruit, not the sweetest fruit, not the one wellness trends keep pushing. The one that stands out because it supports sleep, fits better into a kidney-conscious diet than most people realize, and comes with one important catch that almost every other video leaves out. Before we get into it, subscribe and turn on the bell if you want more videos like this, where I break down what the research actually says about healthy aging, kidney health, and what really matters after 50. And tell me in the comments, where are you watching from, and what time is it where you are right now? I read every single one. Stay with me, because the difference between the right cherry and the wrong cherry matters more than most people think. I'm Dr. Clara Hoffman, and before I tell you which fruit comes out on top, let me give you the 2-minute explanation that makes this whole topic make sense. Your kidneys are two small organs about the size of your fists sitting just below your rib cage. They work like highly specialized filters. Day after day, hour after hour, they help remove waste, manage fluid balance, and support the systems that keep blood pressure under control. And while you're asleep, that work doesn't stop. In fact, nighttime is when your body is supposed to shift into a more restorative state. Blood pressure should settle. Stress signaling should ease down. Inflammation should not be constantly provoked by late-night food choices. That means the food you eat before bed is not trivial. It becomes part of the environment your kidneys have to work inside for the next 6 to 8 hours. Here's where the real problem begins. A lot of the fruits people think of as healthy are not automatically ideal for someone trying to protect kidney function, especially if they've already been told to watch potassium. Bananas, oranges, kiwi, and some tropical fruits can be nutritious in general, but they can also push potassium higher than some kidneys can comfortably handle, depending on the person and the stage of kidney disease. So now people get scared. They start thinking fruit is risky. And that's where many people make the wrong move. They cut out fruit entirely, and in the process, they also cut out antioxidants, natural anti-inflammatory compounds, fiber, and nutrients that can help support the body instead of burdening it. That's why the best bedtime fruit for healthy kidneys is not just a fruit that sounds healthy. It has to do 3 things at the same time. It has to be kidney compatible. It has to offer something useful for nighttime physiology. And it has to be practical enough that people will actually eat it consistently. That fruit is tart cherries. And if you've never heard that before, you're not alone. Tart cherries are one of the most underrated kidney-friendly bedtime foods because they solve a problem that most people don't even realize exists. On one hand, you want antioxidant and anti-inflammatory support. On the other hand, you don't want to overload the body with a fruit choice that creates unnecessary potassium concerns. Tart cherries sit in that sweet spot. According to the National Kidney Foundation, sour cherries are considered a lower potassium option, while sweet cherries are higher in potassium. That distinction is critical because when people hear cherries are healthy, they often assume all cherries are the same. They are not the same, especially if kidney health is part of the conversation. And that's only the first reason tart cherries stand out. The second reason is what makes them especially interesting before bed. Tart cherries contain phytomelatonin, a naturally occurring antioxidant that may help support a healthy circadian sleep cycle. In plain English, this means tart cherries are one of the few fruits that make sense not just for kidney-friendly nutrition, but for nighttime timing specifically. That matters because sleep and kidney health are deeply connected. If your sleep is poor, your body stays in a more stressed, more inflamed, less restorative state. And when that happens night after night, the systems that help protect blood vessels, blood pressure patterns, and metabolic balance do not work the way they should. This is exactly why tart cherries are so much more interesting than a generic healthy snack. They don't just give you something sweet to eat, they give you a fruit that matches the biology of nighttime. Now, I want to be careful here because I don't like exaggerated promises. Tart cherries are not a cure for kidney disease, they are not a replacement for medical treatment, and they are not some miracle food, but they are one of the smartest fruit choices before bed if your goal is to support healthy kidneys in a realistic, research-aligned way. Here's why. First, tart cherries contain antioxidants that help combat oxidative stress. Oxidative stress is one of the major background processes involved in aging and in the progression of many chronic diseases, including kidney disease. Second, tart cherries contain anti-inflammatory compounds. Chronic low-grade inflammation is one of the quiet drivers behind vascular damage, metabolic dysfunction, and kidney strain over time. Third, tart cherries are more nighttime specific than most fruits because of their natural melatonin-related properties. And fourth, unlike a lot of fruits that get promoted as superfoods, tart cherries are not automatically carrying the same potassium burden as some of the more obvious fruit choices people reach for. That combination is rare. And it's why, if I had to pick one fruit to build a bedtime kidney routine around, tart cherries would be my top choice. But now let me tell you the catch, because this is the part almost nobody explains properly. When people hear about tart cherries, they often go out and buy whatever cherry product they can find. And that is where the mistake happens. The best option is tart or sour cherries, especially Montmorency tart cherries, or an unsweetened tart cherry juice, not sweet cherries, not cherry candy, not heavily sweetened cherry blends, not sugary juice cocktails that happen to have a picture of cherries on the label. Because once you move away from true tart cherries and into sweetened cherry products, you can lose the very advantage that made this a smart choice in the first place. Too much added sugar works against kidney health. Overly processed nighttime snacks can worsen blood sugar swings. And sweet cherries are not the same potassium story as sour cherries. So if you remember one thing from this video, remember this. The best fruit before bed for healthy kidneys is not just cherries, it is tart cherries, in the right form, in the right amount. So what does the right amount look like? A practical bedtime portion is about half a cup to 1 cup of tart cherries, or roughly 4 to 8 ounces of unsweetened tart cherry juice about 30 to 60 minutes before bed. That's enough to make it part of a real routine without turning it into a sugar-heavy late-night snack. If you want the most kidney-conscious version, whole tart cherries are a great place to start. If you prefer juice, choose unsweetened tart cherry juice and keep the serving moderate. And if you're someone who likes a simple routine, this is one of the easiest habits to build. No blender, no supplements, no expensive powders, no complicated recipe, just the right fruit, at the right time, used consistently. Let me give you an example. I once spoke with a woman in her early 70s who had mild chronic kidney disease, poor sleep, and a habit of eating random processed snacks late at night because she thought fruit was too risky for her kidneys. She had heard so much about potassium that she had started treating all fruit like a problem. That is incredibly common. So instead of letting fear drive the whole plan, we simplified it. We replaced the late-night snack foods with a small serving of tart cherries in the evening, and on some nights, a modest glass of unsweetened tart cherry juice. What changed first was not some dramatic lab result. It was consistency. She slept a little better. She felt less heavy after eating at night. And most importantly, she finally felt like she was doing something supportive for her kidneys instead of just being told what to avoid. That mindset shift matters more than people realize because the habits that protect health long-term are usually the ones that feel sustainable, not punishing. Now, I also want to tell you when to be cautious. If you have advanced chronic kidney disease, if you've been specifically told to limit potassium, if you're on dialysis, or if your blood sugar is hard to control, you should not assume that even a healthy fruit automatically fits your plan in unlimited amounts. This is where personalized medicine matters. According to kidney nutrition guidance, potassium needs are individualized. Some people in earlier stages of kidney disease may not need major potassium restriction at all. Others absolutely do. The difference depends on your lab work, your stage of kidney disease, and your overall treatment plan. So the rule is simple. General advice is useful, your numbers are better. If you don't know your kidney function, your potassium level, or whether your doctor has already asked you to limit certain foods, that is worth checking before you turn any food into a daily habit. And one more thing, if you have diabetes or prediabetes, be especially careful about the form you choose. Whole tart cherries or carefully portioned unsweetened tart cherry juice are very different from a sugar-loaded cherry drink marketed as healthy. Marketing language is not the same thing as kidney protection. Now, if you're wondering whether tart cherries are perfect for everyone, the answer is no. There is no perfect food for everyone. But if the question is this, what is the single best fruit to eat before bed if I want something that aligns with kidney health, supports nighttime physiology, and avoids some of the common downsides of other fruits? Tart cherries are incredibly hard to beat. They check more boxes than almost anything else. Kidney conscious, nighttime appropriate, antioxidant rich, anti-inflammatory, and genuinely easy to use. So here's your action plan for tonight. If tart cherries are available to you, try half a cup to 1 cup in the evening, about 30 to 60 minutes before bed. If you're using juice, choose unsweetened tart cherry juice and keep it moderate. If you have known kidney disease, especially later stage disease, ask your doctor or renal dietitian whether that serving fits your potassium target. And if you've been lumping all fruit into the too risky category, this is your reminder that the better question is not, is fruit good or bad? The better question is, which fruit, in what amount, in what form, for what body? That is how real kidney-friendly nutrition works. Not fear, not trends, specific choices. One final thought before I go. Healthy kidneys are not built by one miracle food. They're protected by a pattern: better sleep, better blood pressure control, less processed food, smarter evening habits. And when one simple fruit can support more than one piece of that pattern, it deserves your attention. If you're going to try tart cherries tonight, tell me in the comments how you'll have them: whole tart cherries or unsweetened tart cherry juice. And if you want more doctor-explained videos that cut through the noise and focus on what actually helps, subscribe and stay with me. My next video is about the evening foods that seem harmless but quietly put more strain on your kidneys overnight. I'll see you there.